want to say a few things to today's excellent event. This event is part of the U.S.-Pakistan Women's Council. And this is a council that celebrates 10 years. 10 years of working together to try and improve the economic situation for women in Pakistan. We are celebrating 10 years of the U.S.-Pakistan Women's Council, the same year that we are celebrating 75 years of U.S.-Pakistan diplomatic relations. And I think this council is an excellent example of what the U.S. and Pakistan can do together to improve the role of women in society and to improve the Pakistani economy. The report and the initiative that you see behind me, the Pakistan Future of Women in Work initiative, is just one of the things that the Council is doing together with the U.S. Embassy, the State Department, Texas A&M, some of our corporate sponsors, including S&P Global. It is one of many things that we do. I want to highlight another project that we have, which is the Pakistan Million Women Mentors Initiative, which is something where corporations are pledging to mentor up to 1 million Pakistani women. I hope that some of the corporations that are not participating yet hear this or see this report and think this is something that we could do to help support women. We also have the Women's Business Opportunity Initiative. It's an effort through Council member We Connect International to build inclusive value chains to help women-produced goods get into the value chains that improve the economy. And then lastly, another initiative is the Future of Women in Energy Scholars Program, along with Texas A&M. These are a few examples of what we're trying to do to boost the Pakistani economy, to help bring women in, and to help the economy grow.
Excellency, as you have, Excellency, Excellency,
There's one, Naya.
Excellency, as Ms. Horst was saying, that they have, all of you have visited the flood-affected areas and you have seen the plight of the women. So what's the initiative of U.S. Embassy regarding that and to make their lives better?
Thanks. You know, one of the purposes of this program that we announced today, that we unveiled today, was to show how women are disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which we've all been living through for the last couple of years. What we've seen with this incredibly tragic flooding event is some of the same phenomenon. In other words, that women and girls and children in general are the most deeply affected by it. And we have to look for ways to mitigate that. So I think what we're doing, and we've recently announced a substantial aid contribution to Pakistan, and we're going to be looking for further ways in which we can assist, and also looking for ways that we can make sure that that assistance is distributed in a way that gets to the people that really need it, and in many cases that is going to be women and girls.
Excellency, as you have just mentioned.
Since it's in honor of women, I'd like to ask Sabine for the next question.
As you know, we are undergoing one step here, please.
Sorry.
As you know, we are undergoing natural disaster due to climate change, and we are less than 1% contributor to this. Do you think US need more initiative regarding this climate change?
Yeah. Look, I think we're seeing around the world the effects of climate change in these in extreme weather events, and it's really going to be a shared challenge for the entire globe to deal with. The Biden administration is absolutely stepping forward to do that, and we recently announced a new initiative that includes $3 billion for climate adaptation, for trying to build climate resilient infrastructure and societies. And again, we're going to look for ways that we can help Pakistan both plan for and develop the kind of resilient infrastructure that Pakistan will need to deal with these problems, which are going to keep recurring in the future.
Excellency,
As it's getting a little hot, let's go for one more. Talim, do you want to?
Thank you,
address?
Yeah.
I just want to ask, just as you mentioned, the 50,000 trainings and 24,000 jobs for Pakistan mentioned here. I just want to ask, what are these sectors and what are the kind of these trainings for that?
So one of the fundamental areas of training that we've tried to do is to help them build general job skills, the kind of skills you need to be a leader in a workplace, to make yourself competitive for almost any job. So there's a general level of training. We also contribute to programs that give specific sorts of job training, but mostly these are trying to develop those kind of soft skills that allow you to compete and actually grow in your career and your work, and make people realize what an important contribution women must be making to Pakistan. Again, it's for Pakistan, which has such a big gap in the gender in the workforce. It's a huge economic disadvantage. In other words, Pakistan as a country is suffering from, the whole country is suffering from this. And it's probably the biggest untapped resource that Pakistan has right now, is the lack of women participating in the workforce. Thank you.
Would you like to make one final statement before we have to go?
So I appreciate the incredible interest that we have here, and I encourage everyone to read this report, which really focuses on the effects that COVID has had on women, particularly on mental health and the burden on caregivers. And I think it's an important part of how we're considering a response to COVID and how we move forward in reshaping the workforce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Working woman all of my life, and I belong to a family where even my grandmother was a working woman. So I can relate to the study that has been launched today, and in my opinion, it's a very good and useful document because for a very simple reason. Because of this pandemic and because of this study, the focus on the issues of working women, the focus has been brought to the issue of working women, and particularly during crisis situations like the pandemic. And in my opinion, during pandemic, women all over the world suffered. So we were no different. But in Pakistan especially, I think it is the middle and the lower middle class women who suffered the most, because the rural women in any case work and contribute, although it is a tragedy that their work contribution is not really included in the economic figures and development figures of the country. But whether it was home or no home, they were constrained to work, and because that is how the rural life continues. But in cities, particularly, as I said, the middle class and the lower middle class got very badly affected, because in a lot of situations, it was the women staying home, taking care of the children, teaching. But the most important factor was the loss of income in cases when they were laid off, because one income families, it's becoming difficult for one income families to make ends meet, and particularly when women are laid off, then the pressure of running the kitchen becomes even more enhanced. And in a lot of instances, we see that women also suffer psychologically because of forced stay at home of the family, men still getting opportunities to go out, do their job and come back, but the frustration of economic difficulties and social difficulties and of this feeling of isolation naturally had a great impact. So I'm delighted that a focus study has been conducted, and from this study we can then make policies and make interventions to ensure that the women who have been affected are rehabilitated, and in future when there are emergencies like this, we understand how to face the problem. So my compliments to both the US-Pakistan Women Council and also to the Bush Institute of Public Policy, for bringing out this study. I'm sure it will serve a very useful purpose, and I hope that it will be widely disseminated for people to understand what the difficulties that women generally face here, but particularly in situations like the Thank you so much.
Before we get started, I just want to address you all. This is, we'll give a few remarks to the press. I'm going to ask PDAS Horse to start us off with a brief statement about the event and the U.S. government's role here. And then we will give Ambassador Blome the opportunity to answer 3 questions. I'm sorry we will not have time for everyone, and we will have to leave immediately following that. Understood?
Sure.
Is it possible 4 not 3?
I'm sorry?
Is it possible 4 not 3?
What I say, 4, 3? We'll see. I think it's 3. But thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate everything that...
Do you think that after a long speech inside, there is a need of that media interaction, and in fact that is not a political...
Yeah, we can ask question about this.
Of course. And Ambassador Blome. So Imran, did you want to start us off with your
mics?
question? And then we'll go from there.
कैसे ये पकड़ो
So Imran, PDAS Horse, if you could just
but you cannot do that without the mics.
While women work initiative, while created by the US Embassy and SME Global, how do you think in Pakistan?
Are you ready?